Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me today on my channel. I'm Katie and it's great to have you with me. Happy New Year. It is the 1st of January that I'm recording this. I hope you've had a great Christmas and New Year period. And I'm going to be talking today about character meets at Disneyland Paris. So let's get started. So I am wearing my Disneyland Paris Tropical Stitch hoodie. I am embracing the New Year's coziness. But today I thought you might like to find out a bit more about the character meets in Disneyland Paris, because I think there are some quirks about those Disneyland Paris meets that are a bit different perhaps from some of the other parks. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please do let me know. But some of the things feel quite unique to Disneyland Paris, and it means it can be quite tricky if you want to meet certain characters. So without further ado, let's talk Marvel meets, which are all of the ones behind me. So I went to Disneyland Paris in the lead up to Christmas, and we stayed in the Art of Marvel Hotel, which was amazing. Now, if you are a Marvel fan like me, there are two key ways that you can meet Marvel characters in Disneyland Paris. One of them is by staying at the hotel, and in fact, in order to do what I'm about to talk to you about, you have to be staying at that hotel. So some of the hotels, you can do walk-ins for character meets. So for example, the Santa Fe Hotel is evening meets, and it tends to be like Goofy, Pluto. Those are the two we met there. I've not met any other characters there, but they do say it's a surprise. Cheyenne, it's Jessie and Woody. Either one or both of them usually. I've not seen any other characters there, but those are the two, and they're a morning meet. Where else? Sequoia, so coming closer to the park. Sequoia does morning meets, and we met Lumberjack Donald there, and these are all ones where you just go and queue. So you don't actually have to be staying at the hotel. You could go and visit at those times of day and meet the characters there, and some of them are dressed up a little bit stylized, like Lumberjack Donald is appropriate to the Sequoia kind of mountain lodge feel. And then we get into the kind of the next step up hotels, which are Newport Bay, which has an evening meet, and I met Donald Duck and Pluto there. Art of Marvel is quite unique because you have to book a slot to meet the characters there. It's still a surprise as to who you're going to meet, and it seems like they have two characters each morning who rotate. So initially we had 9:45 slots to go and see the characters, but you don't know who you're going to meet. So the two who are on the paperwork that they give you say Captain America and Black Widow. I actually met Quill and Captain Marvel originally there. They were the two on rotation that first 2 days we were there. So that was quite nice because I managed to get both of them. And I've got to say, I don't consider myself to be a Guardians of the Galaxy fan. And when I saw it was Quill, I was a bit like, oh, we're not really that bothered about Quill. Should we maybe do just a character meet another day? Because obviously character meets take time. Even though you've booked your slot, so in our case it was 9:45. You might not be done for half an hour or a little bit longer, depending on the interactions of the people before you. So to go back from the park to do that and then go back into the park does take about an hour out of your day. I am so glad though that I did stay and meet Quill, because he was my best character meet while we were at the park this time. He was so funny and so charming, and he was very sing-songy. So if you've seen my short of us doing Last Christmas, which actually I dubbed the music over, but we were genuinely singing that. Then we went on to sing Madonna, Like a Prayer. It was one of the funniest experiences that I've had, and he was an absolute laugh. He was so funny, so charming, and I'm really, really glad that I did stick around to do that meet. So just goes to show, even if you're not a huge fan of that particular person, you might still want to meet them, because that is when you can have some of the best interactions. So we met those two the first day, and then I went back on the third day, and I said, and they won't tell you who it is. So I said, look, we met Captain Marvel and Quill. Sorry, the third day we met Captain Marvel again, because the first time I wasn't wearing my Disney band and the second time I was, so I went back to do it in my Disney band. And she was fun. So we didn't do any sing-songs, but we did talk about Goose and the Fleur kittens, and she deputised me to keep an eye out in the parks for Loki, which was a bit ironic because I'd been Disney bounding as Loki the day before. So that was a lot of fun as well, and yeah, she was really cool, so that was cool. So it must have been the fourth day I went back, and I said, look, I've met Quill and Captain Marvel. Is it going to be the same person? And they were a little bit resistant at first to say who it was, and she still didn't tell me technically, but she said, if you come back at 9 a.m, it'll be someone different. So I think the earliest meet that you can do in the Art of Marvel Hotel, and again, you have to be staying there and you have to book it, you can technically do a walk-in and see if there's space, but there was not any space any of the times we tried, because the first day we tried to go back round for Captain Marvel because she and Quill had swapped over and there wasn't any space. So book the slot, but be aware that 9 o'clock is person 1, 9:45 is person 2. So I'm thinking maybe they do 45-minute alternating. There seemed to be some confusion between cast members in the hotel as to whether they did evening meets as well. Some of them said outright no. Some of them said sometimes there's one in the evening. So honestly, I don't know. The times I went back in the evening, there was no one there. So when you do the character meets in the Art of Marvel Hotel, if you're staying there, there is what do they call it? It's I'm going to say the training centre, but that's not right because that's on the Avengers campus. The room where they do the meets anyway, they've got about 9 different sets, which are really cool because you can go and take photos in the style of Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, there's Mjolnir, there's the Iron Man boots, there's the little like portal thing from Ant-Man, there's a Captain Marvel one, and there's the collector's box as well. So they're really fun, and you can go in and do those in an evening. It's open for you to do that even if there aren't any characters there, which is quite nice, or you can do it off the back of doing your character meet as well. So that's fun, and you can do that as many times as you like. So if you've got different bounds for different characters, you could go and do the appropriate ones in the appropriate places if you wanted to do so. So I actually did that with both Thor. I did a Mighty Thor bound and I did the Captain Marvel bound as well. There wasn't anything there that I could use for Loki. I suppose I could have tried the Thor one, but yeah. So that's how the kind of in-hotel meets work. Then you have the meets in the park. So let's go back to Marvel again, because that's what I started off this whole thing talking about. The other way of meeting Marvel characters is on the Avengers campus, which is in the Hollywood Studio Parks, which is the first one you come to as you go to the parks. There are 4 key things that you can see to engage with characters there. 5 actually. Okay, let's go through them in order of walking in. So you walk past the Avengers sign. It's really cool. It's a nice photo op. Behind that, there is again one of these little like portal looking things, and you get a number of characters there. So you get Ant-Man, you get the Wasp, you also get Groot, who I think appears about once or twice a day. He doesn't do individual person meets, he kind of does an appearance. So he'll like go and wave and do a bit of dancing, and he will sign autographs, but you have to give him your book. He takes it away and he comes back out with it. The handler comes back out with it. So that's the first one. Carry on walking down. On the right, higher up, before you get to the Pym Kitchen restaurant, is a Spider-Man appearance. So at certain times throughout the day, I think again from memory, it's mornings, kind of around 10 o'clock, but I didn't actually see him this time. I saw him last time when we were there for Halloween. He comes out and he does a bit of an appearance hanging off of things, so that's kind of cool. And he'll like chat to the crowd and wave to you. The third one is again kind of intermittently on the campus, and it's more outside of the shop. There's only one shop on the Avengers campus, so if you find that, I think it's called like Web Equipment, something like that, you get Thor and Loki, and you also get Falcon, Captain America come out and do some stuff with the crowd, and kind of interacting with you and a little scripted show that they do. The fourth way is at the very end of Avengers Campus. The first thing that you will see really is the Quinjet, and there is a big platform and it's right by Flight Force, and that's where a lot of the characters will also go. So I think the first time we went, we definitely saw Mighty Thor up there. We saw Iron Man this time, we saw Captain Marvel this time, we saw Falcon, Captain America. That's all of them who we saw this time. Oh, and I wasn't there for it, but apparently the Wakandan warriors did some dancing as well, so I think that was also up there, which is kind of cool. So these things happen intermittently. Then the fifth final one is the training centre. So as you look at the Quinjet, to the right of it, you've got the training centre. I assumed it was just somewhere you go in and you wait and then you meet however many characters, a bit like the princess meet in the other park, but it's not like that. You have to be on the campus. Well, no, that's not true. You don't have to be on the campus, but you have to be in the park, and you have to book it through the app. So you book a time slot. The queue opens twice a day, so I think the first time is 10 a.m, the second time is 2 p.m. And you book your slot, and then you have a countdown on the app, and it will tell you when to go back. Now, don't bother going to the training centre until that countdown says 0, because they will not let you in before then. Trust me, we tried it a minute, they won't let anyone in. Just go when it says 0 minutes, they will let you in. Again, this is another, although you're probably waiting about half an hour to get that notification, and it can be longer if it's busy, but that was typical for us. And then you'll probably wait another half hour once you get into the training centre. Now, the frustrating thing here is that, again, there's a lot of secrecy around who you're going to meet and who you could see, and that's frustrating if you want to do a Disney bound with a particular character, of a particular character. That was definitely something I found annoying. So in that method, we met Thor first, then we met Loki, and then we met Captain America. So I was very happy because on this trip I got to meet all of my favourites, which I was very pleased about, the only exception being Iron Man, and as I say, he was up on the Quinjet, so I was able to at least wave to him and say hello. So that was cool, and I think I was dressed, who was I dressed as with Loki? I was doing my Captain Marvel bound with Loki. So we had a conversation about, well, he told me I talk a lot. He told me I ask a lot of questions, because I kind of went in and he must have heard me, because I was waiting for my sister, and I was like, it's Loki, it's Loki, it's Loki. So he must have heard that. And yeah, he's very tall. He had these lovely green eyes as well, really like pale green eyes. And yeah, so I kind of went in and I was like, hey Loki, how's it going? How's the promotion? Who's looking after all the timelines? Did you put Sylvie in charge? And he just looked at me and he went, you ask a lot of questions. I'm like, yeah. So I did have a bit of a fangirl moment, which was quite funny. And then also we were bantering a lot, and we were, yeah, it was ever so funny because we had banter, and then my sister was there with me, and we go one at a time, so me and then her, and then we have pictures together. They did have a slight bonding moment over the fact they were both the younger sibling, but then she didn't like him so much. I think she was quite offended by how he was with her. So yeah, so basically what happened was he looked at me and he said, I know you want a hug. And I was like, yeah. And then I don't quite know what happened, but I think it's really embarrassing. I think what happened was, if it's like a princess or, you know, one of the animal characters, they stand side on, so you put your arm around them like that, don't you? You guys know I'm clumsy. You've seen that from the amount of times I drop stuff on these videos. He was standing kind of facing me straight on, and also slightly at an angle. So I don't know what happened, but I kind of Katie rugby tackled him, and just threw an arm around each side. I can't even believe I told you that, because it's one of those moments where I just replay it in my head and I think, oh my god, that was so cringy. That was so funny. It was really funny. But anyway, so I gave him a hug, and then he said something to my sister about, I think you must be jealous. You know, you can give. Do you want a hug? And she went, no, thanks. If you're going to be like that. I don't think he quite knew how to respond to that. So that was hilarious. So yeah, I had a bit of banter with him, which was more like me fangirling over him, and then my sister was just like, I like Darth Vader. So yeah, so that was really funny. But as I say, frustrating because it means that you can't bound. And I did happen to be bounding as Mighty Thor when I met Thor. Thor did not really want to interact with me. He didn't seem that bothered. To be honest, there might have been a language. I think maybe my English did not translate to his Asgardian. But yeah, the pictures look great. But he didn't seem that interested. And then Captain America was the last one that I met, and I was really happy about that because once we had got into the training centre and were waiting, it was quite busy. So actually my mum was waiting for us at the animation studio. We were going to go and do one of the drawing things that they do, which I'm going to talk more about in another video. And so she was waiting for us, and she must have been wondering where on earth we were, thinking we were going to be in and out. But by the time we got there, it was Captain America, so it was fine. So he was a lot of fun, and I told him to give my love to Peggy. I'm so happy you guys are together, is what I said. Yeah. That was fun. He let me hold his shield, which I was really pleased about, because I thought Thor might offer me Mjolnir and he didn't. I was very disappointed by that. But yeah, so actually all the Marvel character meets that we did were excellent fun. Really, really enjoyed them. If you're someone who wants to see Spider-Man, that is again in the training centre, but it works similarly to the characters. So, oh, sorry, let me go back. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but let's go back to the training centre, because one of the other things they do in here is they take like a 360 photo. So it kind of, when you download it, if you buy it, it pans round. It does, like, the camera is on a whooshy thing, and it's quite cool because then it moves round you and it just looks kind of cool. I don't really know what you do with it, but it does look fun. Spider-Man. Let's go back to Spider-Man. So if you want to meet Spider-Man, you again have to go through the app and you have to book an experience. So in the same way that you do with the characters at the training centre, on Avengers Campus, again you have to be in the park in order to do this. And then when you go into the training centre, you queue on the left. There are seats, like bench seats. You sit and wait there. People waiting to meet the Avengers, who they count as the other characters, stand up in a queue on the right hand side. They'll talk you through it when you get there, so don't worry too much, but that's the basic thing. And I think that the Spider-Man one is a little bit different, because I think it's more of a like learning to be Spider-Man. I haven't done it, so I can't say for certain, but I get the sense from the description it's a little different. If I do it again next time I go, which I don't have a trip booked yet, but there was mention of May, so who knows, then I will absolutely let you know. So that is the Marvel characters, and then obviously you've got loads of different characters in the parks as well. So the princesses are one of the other ones that I will mention, because they are like the Princess Pavilion, so that's in the other park, the main kind of Walt Disney park. Excuse me one moment, I've got to let my cat in. So the princesses are in the other park, the main Walt Disney Park, and the Princess Pavilion is over towards Small World. Now again with these, you don't know which princesses you are going to see when you get in there, and they have said to us before that there can be between 1 and 3. So obviously that can be quite a difference. I will tell you that the princesses that I have seen going into the pavilion from outside of it, as I've been walking past, are Ariel, Cinderella, Aurora, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. Did I say Belle? Belle as well. So yeah, 6 of them. Oh, Jasmine. We saw Jasmine coming back from there this time. Yeah, so there are about 7 in rotation. Obviously, if you don't want to, wait around for hours for them, then you could keep an eye out for them. They tend to walk past Casey Jr.'s train to get to the pavilion and back, so that's their kind of route that they take. So that's another way to see them, just in passing, if you're happy to just kind of wave and smile at them and take photos as they go past. So that's a good tip. What else was I going to tell you? Let's see. Oh, I was going to tell you that apparently when we saw Thor and Loki in the training centre, we were talking to a cast member after, and they said we were actually quite lucky to get them, because apparently they're more rare for the appearances. So I don't know whether that's because they also do the coming out onto campus to do their kind of scripted show bit, but that was cool to know. So yeah, they're quite rare apparently, and they happen to be 2 days back to back. So the first day we did it was Thor, the second day was Loki. That might just have been coincidence. It might have absolutely no bearing on their appearances, but yeah. So like I said, I don't know if there is a way to find out who you're actually waiting to meet. I could not crack any of the cast members. The closest I could get, as I say, was to say, it's our last day, I've seen these characters, is it someone different? And they said yes, so that helped a little at least. Other character meets that we did this time, so I mentioned all the Marvel characters. We had quite a big Disney character meet trip this time. We haven't done any character meets the last twice. So I did, as I say, Quill, Captain Marvel twice, Thor, Loki, Captain America, Black Widow. We also saw Asha from Wish, and oh my goodness, if you were to look up the definition of lovely in the dictionary, if that girl's face is not in there, it's a crying shame. She was the absolute epitome of lovely. She was graceful, she had this beautiful musical voice, she's stunning, stunning girl, absolutely gorgeous, and just, yeah, this musical voice, and she was so sweet. Like, there was this little girl in front of us who was so shy, and she just, like, she bobbed down next to her, she was talking really softly to her, and she was just like a little angel. She, like, Asha was like an angel. She was absolutely gorgeous, and she could talk to everyone. So there were some people there who were clearly massive Wish fans, which was really nice to see. And in fact, I was wearing my Captain Marvel Christmas jumper when I met her, and I hadn't really thought anything of it. I hadn't bought my Wish ears at that point, so I wasn't wearing these. And she looked at me and she went, "Oh, you're wearing a star." And I was like, "Oh yeah, so I am." So that was fun. But yeah, she's such a darling. She was so lovely. And then we did some pictures. So we did a picture like this, like make a wish, and then we did some like this. And what was the other pose we did? It might have been hands on hips, like a little power pose. But she was so like, I can't explain how she defined lovely, but she really, really did. She was such a sweetheart. So it was worth, I will say there was a massive wait for her, which I would never have predicted. We came out of the Frozen show the day before, and the queue at that point was quite low. And I did clock it and think, I'll do it another day. With hindsight, I really should have done it there and then, because it took an hour and 40 minutes from joining the queue to finishing with her. So, and they were quite strict about not letting us sit down, because it was a bit strange. What was happening was the main queue was outside, and it was roped off because by the time I joined it was closed. So I was at the end, I was about the very end of the queue, and what they were doing was they were letting people in a few at a time to the inside bit where the meet was. I think that's partly because they were alternating with premiere passes. However, it did mean it was very, very slow, and when we finally got in, I think there had been like half an hour where she hadn't been there, so it was quite a long break, which is unusual for most of the characters. Normally they're kind of out and back in pretty quickly. So once we got inside, we then were all sitting waiting to start with in the queue line, and then cast members told us we couldn't sit down, which I don't entirely understand, because the space that you're in is quite wide. It's quite a wide corridor. It's not like it's super narrow. So there were some people who were not happy about that, because we'd been standing for a long, long time at that point, and it did feel a bit like a stamina test. But she was absolutely lovely. So yeah, that which is just as well, because you wait that long, you want someone to be nice, don't you? You want them to be worth the wait. But yeah, we had a little chat about Valentino. I was wearing Goose, so I had a chat about Goose. We decided my wish that I was going to make was for Valentino and Goose to be best friends. Yeah, so she was absolutely lovely. My sister also did a Winnie the Pooh Christmas meet. So he, as you go into the park, he's over on the left before you go up Main Street, and he was wearing a little Christmas Christmas hat and little Christmas jumper. Other Christmas characters, so I believe Jack and Sally. Jack was as Jack Santa Claus. Did not see him. We actually didn't go anywhere near Phantom Manor this time, which is very unusual for me. Other Christmas characters, Stitch Santa, and no, that's it. The other thing was that they'd moved Eeyore and Tigger. They're normally by the Plaza Gardens, but they'd moved them over to Casey Junior's Railway. So yeah, so that is all of my character meets that I did. A bit more about how they work in Disneyland Paris. As I say, it's a bit unusual with some of them. Most of them it is just the go, queue up, wait as long as it takes to get through to them. Oh, Chip and Dale. That, I knew I'd missed one. Stitch is normally the other side of Main Street on the left-hand side. So if you stay the side that Winnie the Pooh is and carry on down through Main Street, that's where Stitch is. But they'd swapped him. Chip and Dale were out, and they were wearing like little Christmas waistcoats and I think hats. I think they had hats. I'll have to look back at the pictures. And they put Stitch over at the back past the Cheshire Cat's Labyrinth. So yeah, so we didn't queue for them either, but they were out. It was nice to see them. So yes, so there you go. So there are my insights to the character meets. I think character meets can be really, really good fun if you're in the right mood for them, and if you think a bit about what you want to say to each character as well before you meet them, then that can work really well and you can have a great time with them. So as I say, one of my absolute highlights of the trip was meeting Quill. He was so much fun, and he was one of the ones I was the least worried about, and I literally nearly left the queue because I was that unbothered. I'm so glad I didn't, because we had the best time, so thank you, Quill. So there you go. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've met any of those characters or any others that I haven't mentioned. Have you done the Princess Pavilions? I haven't yet been bothered to do the queuing for that, so I haven't. But I'd love to hear from you if you do. They were all wearing their Christmas dresses this time, which had like long sleeves, and they looked very glamorous. So yes, until next time, thanks so much for joining me. Take care and bye for now.